First of all, congratulations on the album. Guides for the Misguided. Wow. Such an incredible listen. What was the process in making this like?
Um, we kind of just take our time and record constantly, to be honest with you. We don't like some bands take like a week or 2 weeks to make a full album. Um, we kind of built, demoed, did the drums, and then over a period of say 6 months to almost a year, we just slowly worked on it. Um, so we didn't really tell anybody that we're working on a new record because honestly, I just kind of like to have the creative process go unfettered and
Mhm.
without any deadlines. Um, it's also way more affordable if
Mhm.
you work on it slowly and just kind of pay as you go. That way, we were able to, take time for either subtle changes or really getting the tones we wanted. Um, so, we recorded it probably honestly over a whole year in little
Wow.
spurts. We would, record drums and bass. Vocals are always last, but then we want to take our time with vocals so we're not just burning me out in 1 or 2 days and having the first two songs be really strong and then
Mhm.
the rest. So we just kind of maybe a year total of just kind of working on it off and on. I think there's the saying that art is never finished, it's abandoned.
Mhm.
And so after about a year we were like, okay, we're not going to make this any better by spending any more time on it.
Mhm.
But when it's all said and done, that year might have been 15 days total.
Mhm.
But that's kind of how we do it in spurts, really listen to it, listen to what we've done, make some changes, discuss some parts, but really make sure that we're hitting the aesthetic and hitting the tones that we really wanted.
Mhm.
We've been doing this a while, so kind of know what we're going for, but
Yeah.
sometimes it takes a little time to get there.
Um, Lyric wise and vocal wise, each song has its own uniqueness to it when it comes to the vocals. How do after the lyrics, how do you choose whether it's going to be a very metal grunt type sound as opposed to a more melodic sound?
I just kind of let the song speak to me, so to speak. Um, I really didn't come into it with any preconceived notions. I just sit down and see what comes out and, kind of, let the vocals out in that way and what kind of speaks to me, both words, story, syllables, and then, what part, like, we have a pretty good idea of, I want this song to be a strong melodic song just
Mhm.
because the riffs speak to me in that way, but nothing kind of preconceived. We just kind of let the song dictate what happens.
Mhm. How different is it playing a song on an album or in a studio as opposed to, playing it live and having fans react to it and the energy they give back?
Well, I mean, there's always the pleasant surprise.
Mhm.
Um, and then there's also the fact that what you think is the best song or your favorite
Mhm.
definitely um, clashes with the data,
Mhm.
with what people are playing the most and what the feedback is in their favorite songs.
Mhm.
So I think that just goes to show that you never really know. A song that we could have thrown away could become like one of our best songs. So you just really don't know. You try to keep your expectations kind of open for that and just give it your best shot, and where it lands, it lands.
Mhm.
But this it's always pleasantly surprised that something that we thought wasn't the greatest catches,
Mhm.
sticks to the wall.
Definitely. going with that, my favorite song off this album was Blood Atonement Blues.
Thank you.
What's the story behind that?
Um, so Alex brought the music. That music was just kind of epic,
Hmm.
plodding, you know, sludge, stoner rock, maybe some post metal, and maybe some classic rock. We were on tour for our last record. We played in Salt Lake City. We had a couple days off. Sorry, we went to my uncle's house in Kanab, Utah, and we're around Zion and just the natural beauty of Utah.
Hmm.
But also while we were driving through, we drove through the fundamentalists, the LDS, the Mormons, and just kind of stumbled across that story of Ervil LeBaron, which was, they call him the Mormon Manson, who started this thing called Blood Atonement, which
Hmm.
essentially just gives you free reign via religious doctrine to murder. Um, like all good things everywhere, or not good, like all societies and shit show is built upon murder and
Hmm.
conquest. If you look at everything, the thing that struck me about him was this was in the late 70s.
Hmm.
This fundamental cult where he was killing and having other people kill for him. His relatives, people who were against him in his own church. In Mexico, in Colorado, in Utah, in Texas, he was just assassinating people. He died in the Supermax
Hmm.
prison in the 80s. I just thought it was a fascinating story that, to my knowledge, no one had written a song about.
Hmm.
There might be one or two documentaries on it, but like it's a crazy story. And he was a certified, murderous cult leader
Hmm.
who, and it doesn't get more metal than that, when it comes down to it, as far as subject matter. But I think it was an angle with the crazy religious fundamentalism and the fact that some parts of Utah in America are basically a theocracy. So I just thought it kind of warranted a song
Hmm.
about it. So that's kind of how it came together, like us being in Utah, like, and then, the inspiration of Utah, Alex, the guitarist, bringing those riffs, the vocals turned out the way they did. I think it's all a good happy accident, but
Hmm.
I'm really happy with that song too. It's got a good vibe. It's got, I'm down.
Definitely. It's also very it's technically sound. It just, I don't know, it's a standout song on the album. Another a song that I thought was fascinating was I'm always into how an album ends, and adding the tower at the end. It's listed as a bonus track. Why add the tower?
Um, it was like the two covers that are on there are
Hmm.
meant to like lighten the heavy hand of the whole kind of religious
Hmm.
or you know atheist manifesto thing about it. It was a song that I just kind of brought and discovered that I really liked the lyrics, I liked the structure, I liked all the riffs. um and in our genre, it might have been
Hmm.
an unknown song to some people. They would never listen to that.
Hmm.
But I thought it was just cool to throw on there and maybe lighten the heavy hand lyrically and musically, just for variety's sake.
Hmm.
I think it fits.
Hmm.
And like I said, I always thought it was just an amazing song. So I kind of wanted to, give it props.
Hmm. Definitely. Well, the album is very technically sound. It's an enjoyable listen. And thank you very much for your time.